And the last one is Afghanistan. I will come to a conclusion. Afghanistan, we have all said Afghanistan is a good war, because it is a war not only for the Buddhas, even if the Buddhas was the real last incident, it is a good war because it is there that we have the sort of movement, Taliban movement, who has as an ideology to forbid women to go to school, to forbid women to have health care. So that was why we accepted in all the opinion of the NATO countries that it was a good war, even if some of us was thinking that there is no good war. But okay. Then what's happened? After 5 years, Mr. Karzai decided to negotiate with Taliban. We discovered last week that his family is also linked to Taliban directly, one of the more important in Kandahar area. And so what is that? What are we doing with all this money spent in this fight? And with, if you look, from the first day of the arrival of the army of NATO countries, they have said, please, like Napoleon has said in Egypt, like Napoleon has said, please don't touch to the women's rights, because this is a culture problem. And please, especially for the army and especially for, don't touch, don't touch. So what about, could you imagine from the beginning of the war, at the beginning of 2002, you have spent incredible money of women also, because you are paying taxes. We are all paying taxes in our country. To have what as an effort for the progress of women? Nothing. They will go backward when Karzai will be alone with his agreement with the Taliban. So this is why we have to fight. We have a lot of things to fight, and we have all our association. But I think that the real common point for us must be to find all religions in their will of limiting the role and the attitude of women inside the society.
Thank you so much. Michelle Vianney, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be there with you. It's okay? Now? Close? Yes. Okay? Yes. It's too close. Yes, okay. I have to talk you about theocratic patriarchy. I have to talk to you about feminism and laicity, and about attempts done by obscurantists against these two tools for women and men's emancipation. First of all, theocratic patriarchy. Religions were set by men for men. Holy texts were transcribed, studied, commented by these same men who had the monopoly of culture's access throughout centuries. Among all religions, we can find the same misogynous features which led to women's discrimination. These features were used by men and by states to possess women's bodies and spirits. Traditions and religions explained the incapability of women. They interpreted biological facts. First among them was menstrual blood. This led to the register of pure and impure, legal and illegal, allowed and forbidden. Forbidding women's access to holy places, refusing women's visibility next to gods under the pretext of impurities, has led to demonization and taboo, excuses for women's exclusions. Women is considered as a source of discord, able to lead men away from his duties toward God. According to Ghezali, who was a 12th century theosexologist, but who is a scientific reference for nowadays integrists, man loses 2/3 of his reason when he is in erection. I don't know if this fact has been verified by the Weight and Measure Service Department of UCA, but it's what's called in all the books for boys and girls in Europe and in France particularly. Married women are getting intellectually sterile because of a heavy load of domestic constraints and ridiculous eating prohibitions, which force them to always think about their own goals. What about feminism and laicity? I am French, so I speak about laicity, not secularism. For all times, there have been some men and women denouncing this hierarchy, using the philosopher Condorcet ideas, a laic, free, and compulsory school for both sexes. Jules Ferry, French Minister of Public Education, in 1883, explained, "The one who holds woman holds everything. That is why the Church wants to retain the woman, and this is also why democracy is necessary to prevent women from being retained. The human being, man or women, are a free human being, thanks to his reason and critical spirit, in order to be free from any volunteered or imposed servitude." This is the laic ideal. Laicity is the absolute enemy from obscurantists, who bases their domination of population on the refusal of conscious freedom. Considering blasphemy as a felony comes down to forbid people to think and express their thoughts. Laicity also assures in rights, duty, equality in rights, duties and dignity of women and men, the right to contraceptions and abortion, ethnicity, violence's refusal, religious or communitarian oppression, refusal of women dissimulation behind the veil shroud, constituting possessional and obsessional mark of women, considered as sexual objects, are founding the living together in France. The civil life has a preeminence on all historical or religious senses of identity, on domestic, local, or clan solidarities. In case of conflicts between groups in order to arbitrate on behalf of general interest, a state which doesn't have the tool of laicity, which knows all religions but doesn't recognize any, is disarmed. If in a state a religion is compulsory, freedom of thought is no longer possible, as religion is gaining the public power for its own profit, equality no longer exists. Those who don't believe in this religion or interpret it differently undergo an alienation of their fundamental rights as a human being. Unicity is just a front, as the diversity of opinions and the equality of rights are not respected, conflicts and wars of God are developing. In the other side, if within a country all religions are recognized, each group will be able to demand the respect of its own communitarian lifestyle rules. This diversity will emphasize difference and create walls between groups. There will no longer be the emergence of common principles, which are superior to individual values. There will no longer be any mixing between groups. Endogamic wedding will be the rule. Specific education will divide children and young people before opposing adults. So, what about obscurantists and what do they do against gender equality? Women's control of children birth has been a revolution, as it has completely changed the old patriarchal and theocratic order. In addition, the financial independence, the control of their body and mind, freaked out machocrats who send women back to their natural mission, sexual gratification of their husband and household tasks. These matrocrats called religious to help. For religious fundamentalists considers the emancipation of women as a reason of all community sins, which will disappear if people were going back to patriarchal and theocratic, submitting human beings and women's acceptance of their own submission. To convince women to go back to patriarchal theocratic patterns, the submission to gods is materialized in earth by the submission of men, of course. They use two ways. One, hypocritical speech protecting women, or an intimidating speech, threat of punishment on earth or in sky, that is to say, eternal, if women don't abide by their rules. The control of fertility and women's sexuality was and remains the force of oppression. The Holy Alliance of all religions fundamentalists, Catholic, Evangelist, Hinduism, Buddhist, Jewish, Muslim, the undermining by preachers found some women were ugly. A voice is given to concerned women of America or Muslim women as they are assimilated volunteer servitude. French Minister Ferry wanted to emancipate women by freeing them from priests. This is the opposite for the Front Islamic Algerian of Saleh, FIS. The Muslim women is an irrepressible force on psychological, social, cultural levels. The aim is to channel this force and use its potentialities in the most judicious way regarding the strategy of our civilization. In France, young girls from Muslim filiation were successful at school, place of emancipation, and would after become independent. They may also get married to a non-Muslim. This fear among preachers led them to veil their doctor, on one hand, while tightening their head, trying to atrophy their brain, and on the other hand, present them as victims of these horrible laic teachers, I was one, who want to colonize brains of young by teaching them how to think. That is, reject your own beliefs, yes, I could, according to French philosopher. But some compassionate, silly-minded people, under the pretext of cultural relativism, it's racism, tolerate that women and young girls hide behind a veil, so that even when behind outside, women remain inside. These differentialists accept the idea that women are only a sexual tool, a cause of disorder, and that they have to stay hidden while in the public space. It will be their face, their choice. However, it can't be their right. Their personal choice is not a right that the Republic would have to accept. In our state, as in any democratic society, the liberty of one person ends when the liberty of others starts. We have to be free together and not each